What's going on YouTube? JT Born here, and welcome back to another edition of my Monarch Legacy of Monsters reviews. This is going to be a review on Episode 7, also known as Will the Real May Please Stand Up? This one's directed by Hiromi Kamada and written by Mariko Tamaki, who I've actually talked about on this channel before when I've covered various issues of Detective Comics when she covered that like 2 years ago or whatnot, before Ram V took over it. But for those who don't watch those videos, you're probably wondering what I'm talking about. Go check out some of my DC Comics books videos. But anyways, so this episode aired last week. I'm actually recording this before the new episode's supposed to drop tonight. I like to get this out of the way and kind of speculate before I go into the new episode. So by the time this video goes up, the newest episode will have already aired and stuff. So I'm probably going to post both of them simultaneously. Or I'll get this one up and then I'll work on editing the next one. But I like to kind of do these videos before I get to the next episode because that's part of the fun speculation aspect. But let's quickly summarize what happened in the episode. So the episode opens up and we see that Tim is the only survivor of the crash. When those helicopter pilots saw Godzilla coming out of the ground, they stupidly decided not to get out of the way as he's doing this. They're all kind of frozen. But Tim is the only survivor, and then he somehow walks all the way from where he was at in the middle of the desert to the airport where they all kind of end up at. So Tim's there, and we also see a bit of a frustrated Kentaro with the stuff and the situation with May. He's still arguing, Kate's still arguing. There's so much arguing and bickering between these groups. And Kate questions, hey, where's May been? She's been in the bathroom for like 40 minutes. He's like, I don't know. You're the one who told her to get lost, basically, because you were frustrated and angry at her. And then we see that May ends up getting kidnapped by her former employers, which we'll learn about later on in the episode. And then we also have Kentaro, and that they also run into Tim, who makes it to the airport where they're all at, and they have their conversations. Kentaro pulls Kate aside so they can have a little conversation. Now he doesn't want to find his dad, and it's getting a little bit annoying with this stuff. It's like, oh, we want to find him, but then I don't want to find him. I actually feel the most sympathy for Kentaro out of the new three. I mean, May's been kind of angry. I mean, you'll find out and understand why she did what she did, although she probably could have utilized the whistleblowing act or whatever. I feel like she could have done something a little bit different than what she did, and she would have been okay if there was some sort of illegal activities going on. But we come to find out that the company she works for is also doing some dealings with the government. And this episode does showcase a bit of interesting world building. So we learn May's past, and we also get like 2 big major things happen in this episode, which we'll get into in a second. So they do their thing. Tim gets a call from Verdugo. His rant is probably my favorite part of the episode, just his frustrations with Verdugo and Monarch. He's trying to do this thing. He wants to make a deal with the Randa kids in order to help them free their friend, and they're going to help them lead it to Shaw, if you will. So elsewhere, Shaw and Duval are taking over Outpost 88 in Alaska and all of its resources. Barnes, who was in a previous episode, warns Verdugo about it. What I also like, too, is Shaw never forces anybody to do anything. He's like, we're taking over this base. You have a choice. You can either leave, or you can kind of get with the program, if you will. But he's not, like, threatening anybody, because his mission is to stop the next G-Day. And you'll find out what he does later on in the episode. So I like Shaw. Like I said, Shaw's my favorite character in the Monsterverse at this point. In terms of human levels, in terms of monsters, it's Godzilla, and then I guess you got to go Kong in second place, given his character development and such. But anyway, so they're doing that. And then so Tim, Kate, and Kentaro end up finding May's home, saying they're in town for some sort of manga convention. And we also get a confirmation that Akira Toriyama exists in the Monsterverse. I'm a big Dragon Ball Z fan, so I kind of like that nod. And plus, with the way Godzilla's evolving in the new Empire, it looks like Super Saiyan Rose. So after this, we learn about May's past and that her real name is actually Cora Mateo. She's working for a company known as AET, also known as Applied Experimental Technologies. So she was hired on, and her code was utilized for some sort of cybernetic experiments. And as we're going into this episode, I'm starting to theorize cybernetics. Coding. This has to be tied into there's only one organization that we've seen in the Monsterverse that really kind of deals with that stuff, and eventually we do get that reveal, which I did like. So she found out how some of her code was being used for some sort of illegal animal testing with neurolinks and stuff like that, and so she destroyed years of research, and that's what she did. That organization also was interested in learning more about these Titans. So Tim, Kate, and Kentaro trigger a false Titan alert in order to kind of rescue May from AET, but May decides to stay, and because she doesn't want to be utilized as a spy for Monarch and try to stay behind. So then they actually get in for help from Verdugo, if you will. They make some sort of deal. Monarch gets May freed, and then AET, also known as we come to find out at the end of the episode, is Apex Cybernetics. That's right, Apex exist in the Monsterverse. This is kind of how that initial relationship between them and Monarch began. They're going to try and find all this information about Titans, like what creates something. So I like the world building aspect by utilizing Apex, if you will. So after that's done, AET pretty much rebrands as Apex. Now, May did mention, or Cora, if you will, mentioned Walter's name. So when they name dropped that, I'm like, is that really who I think it is? So we got that aspect. Also, she reunites with Kentaro and Kate, if you will. You see Kate and her kind of hugging and clinging and all sorts of stuff. And the part that kind of made me laugh, it was unintentionally funny. You see them hugging and stuff. They pan over to Kentaro, and I feel so bad for this guy. We are watching this man get cucked right before our eyes. He has to watch his ex-girlfriend pretty much getting hooked up with his long-lost half-sister, if you will. And this dude is just getting humiliated every turn. His dad pretty much abandoned him. He's the only one who's not a cheater. He's got it bad. Like, I feel so bad. Like, it's painful watching this thing for this guy. But, so we got that aspect. And then at the end of the episode, Shaw and his team destroy some sort of rift between the surface world and the Hollow Earth. It seemingly kills the Frostbark Titan, and then he starts chanting, "Yes!" And he's cheering. So it seems Shaw's plan is he's going to use explosives. He's going to destroy all the rifts into Hollow Earth, therefore kind of sealing it up. So not a bad plan, all things considered. Also kind of helping Godzilla, if you will, in some fashion. So he's trying to save lives, and he's trying to destroy these rifts to Hollow Earth because he knows what's down there. So maybe not necessarily my favorite episode overall of Monarch Legacy of Monsters, but I did think it had some good, interesting world-building stuff. Also, Verdugo and Tim make Monarch public. That's the other big thing that happens in here. That's right before the ending episode, if you will. So Verdugo publicly announces Monarch to the rest of the world. So this is how Monarch first went public, and this is also the episode that explains how Apex and Monarch kind of became tied together, if you will. So some interesting world building stuff. Those are the two most important aspects of it, because the stuff when you jump from King of the Monsters to Godzilla versus Kong, there is a bit of a leap in logic. You're kind of wondering, like, where did this Apex organization come from? It just kind of came out of nowhere, but this is kind of the building blocks that establish that. So there's some good aspects with that in the episode. The stuff with Kentaro, I feel so bad for this guy, but there's also some of that kind of annoying stuff where it's like, oh, well, I don't want to find Dad now, and I want to do this and all that, and I'm just kind of sitting there like, oh my God. I feel like each and every one of you, each episode, just kind of gives up at a point, then they kind of get right back into it, and it's a little bit annoying at some points, but May's stuff is done with her family. Now she's working the group. Now they're going to kind of come together with Shaw, hopefully in the next episode. And the most unfortunate thing, once again, is we don't get 50s flashbacks in this episode. So this isn't one of my favorite episodes this season. As I've come to realize, any episode that does not have the 50s crew is one of the weaker episodes in the series. I mean, we had this one. We had episode 5, and I think there may have been one more off the top of my head that didn't really focus much on the 50s crew. It was episodes 4 and 5 that didn't focus on it. 4 was a little bit better, I think, or 5 was, I don't know. But 4, 5, and 7 are the weakest of the season so far, mostly because you don't have the 50s crew. And the 50s crew are kind of my favorite, outside of Kurt Russell in the present day. And although Tim kind of was probably the main highlight of this episode for me. Not much Titan action, but we did get some important world-building answers about how Apex tied into Monarch, and we also got the reveal of how Monarch became public knowledge to the world. So not much else to say about this thing. I'm excited to see where Shaw's plan leads to it, because like I said, it seems like a very logical, reasonable thing to do. Destroy the rifts between the surface world and the Hollow Earth. Although, what will the repercussions of that be? So many questions. I'm excited to see the new episode. So as soon as this video ends, I'm pretty much just going to wait a few more minutes and wait for the new episode to drop. And we'll see how that goes from here. But anyways, yes, a much quicker video this time around. I don't have much else to say about this thing, other than the Apex reveal and Monarch revealing itself to the world and finally finding out about May's past and her true heritage. Not one of my favorite episodes this season, but it still had some good elements to it. Kentaro, I feel the most sympathy for that man. He is just, it's just not working out well for this guy. But anyways, what did you think of Monarch Legacy of Monsters Episode 7? Post your comments down below. Be sure to like this video, share it with your friends, subscribe to the YouTube channel for more content, hit that bell for notifications, all other fun stuff. And I will see you all in a review on Episode 8, probably sometime within the next day or so of when I'm uploading this video. But all right, as always, take care now. Bye-bye then, and I will see you all in the next video. Peace.